Okay, so protein isn't just for bodybuilders and meatheads. Understood. But how do I make sure I get enough in my diet? That's a great question, and there are a lot of different options. Remember, choosing whole food, non-processed sources is actually best when it comes to protein or really getting anything in your diet. So for those of you who are drinking protein shakes for the times when you're on the go, that's okay, and those are totally good as long as they're from less processed quality sources. However, I would try to limit intake of those to maybe 1 a day is probably in an acceptable range. But remember, whole food, non-processed sources are always going to give you the highest quality protein. Here's a list of foods that are typically considered protein dense. Meat and poultry, such as red meat, chicken, duck, fish, so things like salmon and whitefish, eggs, dairy like cottage cheese and Greek yogurt especially, beans and legumes, for example, peas or lentils, nuts and seeds like peanuts and hemp. Some whole grains actually are high in protein, relatively speaking, like quinoa. And when it comes to protein powders, again, you want to choose minimally processed protein powders. So some animal-based protein powders are things that come from beef sources, or whey, which is actually derived from milk, and casein, which is also derived from milk. Also minimally processed plant-based protein powders, such as pea, hemp, or soy. Now, in terms of our POM portion guide, and if you missed our link on the portion guide from the first video about protein, check it out below. We'll include the link. It can be a challenge to get enough protein during the day. It's tough, especially when you're at work and you're on the move and you just need to grab something quick. I totally get it. But here are some tips that have been helpful for me and helpful for a lot of other people to make sure that they get the amount of protein that they need during each meal and even during snacks on a day-to-day basis. Schedule time to go to the grocery store and bring a list. This is particularly important for forgetful people like me, because I will go around and buy everything that I don't need. But for me personally, what works best is I try to go on Sundays or on the weekend when I have more free time, because I tend to work late. If that doesn't work for you and you're busier on the weekends for whatever reason, then go after work, but you should set a specific day that you're gonna take care of your grocery shopping for the week, or for 2 weeks, or whatever is comfortable for you. But having that set schedule and actually planning in advance what you're going to get, whether that's the meals you're making or the snacks you want to get to, is really, really helpful to making sure you stay organized and bring those things to work. Stocking your fridge with protein-dense options, or if it's not your fridge, maybe your cabinet where you keep some of the other stuff, is also great, because you never know when you're going to need to make a meal, and maybe, hey, I'll throw a couple beans in there. Beans would go well with this. It's a great way to get extra protein in your diet. Set aside a few days or nights that are designated as meal prep nights. Now, if you're someone who cooks something from scratch every night because you love to cook, that's awesome and good for you. I am not that skilled. And it can also be a challenge, to actually really cook a full meal on any given night. So what I like to do is prep in advance. I do something called overnight oats, which is great. I can include a recipe below, but you essentially put it together, put it in the fridge, and boom, you have a great snack in the morning before you go to the gym. And you can include that with protein, carbs, some fats, so it's a well-rounded meal. But essentially, if you prep things including veggies and have smaller things portioned out, that way when you go to actually cook them, they're right there and ready to go, and they're appropriately portioned, so you know you're getting the right amount in your meal. Going along with this, also getting snacks helps. I love cottage cheese, and cottage cheese is a great source of protein. So especially on days when I know, oh, someone's doing something at work, or there's a particular event going on the weekend that I may not be able to eat as healthy as I want or have a full, complete meal that I want, I'll have one of these ready to go in the fridge. And that way I know at least, boom, here's about 20 grams of protein right there. And that's a good portion based on my POM. Planning is also super helpful. And I mean planning in advance what you're gonna eat throughout the week, but also as you're going through it, tracking it on an app, or even just something as simple as a food journal if you don't really want to get all fancy with the apps and the calories, because that's a little confusing and sometimes a pain. The more you plan and track, the more conscious you'll be of what you're actually putting into your body on a day-to-day basis, and the more aware you'll be of, oh, you know what, this is really not enough protein for my POMs. I'm going to add this, or I'm going to supplement my diet with this. Anytime you're tracking something, it's really, really helpful. Now, having said that, while planning and tracking and doing all these advanced organizational things can be super helpful, and it is that always possible? Absolutely not. And it's something that I struggle with all the time too, because one, I have a tendency to be lazy, particularly after the workday. I don't really want to cook too much. And two, sometimes you just run out of time because you've got a million things going on. And that's exactly where protein shakes come in handy. Thanks again so much for watching. As always, please subscribe to our channel if you found this video and our other videos helpful. Like I said, in the future, we'll be adding more videos that relate to carbohydrates, fats, debunking some myths associated with those, and also how to form complete, well-rounded meals encompassing all of these different things. So stay tuned for more information. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions or feedback on the products, the videos, whatever, please comment below, reach out to us on social media, or even give us a call at HB Pharmacy. We're always here to help and willing to talk. Thanks. Great day.